Rich families don't just leave money, they leave systems. And the most powerful system is one most people never hear about. When most people think trust fund, they picture spoiled kids and old money. But a trust isn't about spoiling your children. It's about protecting everything you've worked for, from taxes, from lawsuits, from probate court, and from the chaos that follows when someone dies without a plan. The average family spends years building wealth, and then one event, a death without a will, a lawsuit, a bad second marriage, wipes it all out in months. Rich families avoid this not because they're lucky, but because they set up the right legal structure decades in advance. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain on trusts, what they are, why they're not just for the ultra-wealthy, and how you can use one to protect your family's future. Section 1. What a trust actually is. Let's start with the basics. A trust is a legal arrangement in which one person, called the grantor, transfers ownership of assets to a trust, which is then managed by a trustee for the benefit of one or more beneficiaries. In simple terms, you put your assets inside a legal container, define who controls it and under what rules, and specify who ultimately benefits, and when, and under what conditions. Why do this instead of just writing a will? Because a will has to go through probate, a public, court-supervised process that can take months or years, cost significant legal fees, and become a matter of public record. Anyone can contest a will, creditors can make claims, and during probate, your family can't access the accounts, the house, or the investments while the court process drags on. A properly structured trust bypasses all of that. Assets transfer directly to your beneficiaries, privately, quickly, and without court involvement. Section 2. The Revocable Living Trust. The foundation, the most common trust for everyday families, is the Revocable Living Trust. Here's how it works. While you're alive, you transfer your assets, your home, your investment accounts, your bank accounts into the trust. You remain the trustee. You control everything. Nothing changes about how you use your money day to day. You can change the trust at any time. You can revoke it entirely if you choose. The word revocable means it's fully flexible while you're living. When you die, a successor trustee, someone you've named in advance, takes over and distributes the assets to your beneficiaries according to your exact instructions. No probate, no court, no public record, no delay. In most cases, your family can access and transfer assets within weeks rather than waiting out a court process that can drag on for a year or more. For families with children, the Revocable Living Trust also lets you place conditions on inheritances. Your children receive their share at age 25, not 18. Funds may only be used for education and health care until they reach a certain age. You write the terms, not a judge who's never met your family. For a complete, accessible guide on setting up a living trust, the only living trusts book you'll ever need is one of the most practical resources available, written for regular people, not lawyers. It's linked in the description. Section 3. The Irrevocable Trust for serious protection. The Revocable Living Trust is excellent for probate avoidance. But it doesn't protect your assets from creditors or lawsuits, because you still legally own and control those assets. For that level of protection, families use irrevocable trusts. Once you move assets into an irrevocable trust, you no longer legally own them. That means if you're sued for a car accident, a business dispute, a malpractice claim, those assets are generally protected. They may also be excluded from your taxable estate, reducing or eliminating estate taxes upon your death. This is why wealthy families move assets into irrevocable structures decades before they need the protection. They're not hiding money. They're legally shielding it from lawsuits, business liabilities, and estate taxes, building a wall between what they've built and the things that could take it away. The trade-off is control. You generally cannot take assets back out or change the terms once the trust is established. This requires working closely with a qualified estate planning attorney. Section 4. Trusts and taxes. What families get wrong. Let's talk about estate taxes, because this is where failing to plan gets catastrophically expensive. The federal estate tax exemption is several $million per individual. So many families assume they're safe. But state estate taxes exist in more than a dozen states with much lower thresholds. And the federal exemption is subject to legislative change. Tax laws that exist today may not exist when your estate actually transfers. Families who have built a paid-off home worth $500,000, plus retirement accounts and life insurance, can find themselves in estate tax territory faster than they expect when everything is added together. But here's the scenario that destroys more middle-class wealth than taxes. A family member's divorce or lawsuit claiming assets you intended for your children. A spendthrift provision inside a trust walls that off entirely, protecting your child's inheritance even from their own poor decisions. A trust isn't just tax planning. It's protection from every financial threat that could reach the people you love after you're gone. Section 5. Who actually needs a trust? You need to seriously consider a trust if any of these apply to you. You own real estate, especially in multiple states. Without a trust, your family may face separate probate proceedings in every state you own property, running simultaneously while they grieve. You have minor children. A trust lets you name a guardian, control how funds are used, and protect your children if both parents die unexpectedly. You have a blended family. A trust ensures assets go to the children you intend, not to a new spouse's children from a later relationship. You have a beneficiary with special needs. A special needs trust supplements care without disqualifying them from government benefits. You have any significant assets. A home, retirement accounts, life insurance. If you have something worth protecting, you have a reason to have a trust. Section 6. Your action plan. Here's how to move forward without overwhelm. Step 1. Read the only living trusts book you'll ever need. It's the most accessible plain language guide to this topic, no law degree required. It will give you the foundation to have an informed conversation with an attorney. Link is in the description. Step 2. List all your assets. Real estate, investment accounts, retirement accounts, life insurance, business interests. Your attorney will need this inventory. Step 3. Find an estate planning attorney who specializes in trusts. General practice attorneys write wills. Trust planning requires a specialist. Initial consultations are often free. Step 4. Have the conversation with your spouse or partner. Who are your beneficiaries? What conditions do you want on inheritances? What happens if your first trustee choice is unavailable? Uncomfortable and necessary. Step 5. Get it done. Most families skip this step indefinitely until something happens. Don't be that family. Building generational wealth takes years. Losing it to poor planning can take months. The trust is the container that holds everything you've worked for and passes it intact to the people who matter most. Summing things up, the wealthy don't just build assets. They build structures to protect those assets across generations. A trust is not reserved for the ultra-rich. It's a legal tool that any family with something worth protecting can and should use. Your legacy doesn't have to disappear when you do. With the right structure in place, it can grow and serve your grandchildren's grandchildren. Drop a comment below. Do you currently have a trust or estate plan in place? Or is this something you've been putting off? Let me know. No judgment, just a starting point. That's wealth mode. If this video was helpful, please click the subscribe button and then like and share with your family and friends.